Good morning. I'm back to do exactly what I said I probably wasn't going to continue doing, which is making more videos. The reason I have decided to do one today is kind of twofold. The video I posted the other day with the firefighting polos actually garnered a decent amount of views, followers. I got some decently sized orders off of it, and so I do see the value in doing it. I don't love that it takes away time from the actual process of getting orders out the door, but if there's value in the time that I spend doing them, then at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. The other reason I wanted to do it is because I'm switching gears a little bit today, and I'm doing a lot of laser engraving on tumblers. I'm actually doing a full wrap and a partial wrap, and there is different processes and pricing that goes into each one. So I think it's a good opportunity to showcase that process. I do have a busy day with other orders. I've got a DTF order that I need to do, and it's actually a new product that Pineapple Transfers is offering. It's my first time using it, and I'm super excited. So if it turns out good, then I will show it. If it turns out bad, I'll probably still show it. I also have a large beach towel order to wrap up. I ran out of the thread color that I need, so it's been on pause since Sunday evening. I have 2 towels left and I ran out of thread color, so I need to finish that up as well. I don't know that I will show that today just because I am short on time. My son got home from football last night at about 8:45, got to bed late. I was up early this morning. I was down here working by like 5:45, had to stop, get him to student council at 6:45, come home, get my daughter ready to go back to school at 7:45. So I've been working on and off already this morning. I was hoping to have these guys in the laser already, but I've put out 3 quotes this morning, as well as some other odds and ends to get the day going. So I am a little bit behind schedule. We'll see if I can show the DTF and the embroidery as well today, but for sure I wanted to get to the tumblers. Like I said, I'm doing 1 full wrap, 1 partial wrap. It's a different process that goes into each one, as well as different pricing. So I'm hoping by showing what goes into each design type that you can get a better feel for where pricing comes from. And I will say that as I say some of these things out loud and even thinking about doing this video, my wheels are turning that maybe my pricing isn't where it needs to be. And that's one thing that has been a challenge for me. And I would say any, not even small business, but any large business, one of the biggest challenges is your pricing, because it needs to be where it sustains your business and you bring in income that makes it worth the time that you put into that business. But it also needs to be a price that you feel comfortable presenting to your customers and that they will purchase your products for that price. So I don't like to have variable pricing and pricing that changes, but I am only 8-9 months into this, and so I'm still trying to dial in where I need to be. And sorry for my dogs, Tilly, as I do these things over and over and I can really evaluate my pricing and what the market will bear, then my pricing will change just a little bit. So I will get into more of that here throughout the video. But a couple things I wanted to start with is I know that tumbler pricing is outrageously expensive. I think it is way too expensive. You go onto Etsy and you see full wrap tumblers selling for $110, $120. Maybe a couple of years ago when these were, the hot item, they were a novelty, the market wasn't saturated with them. Not everyone had a laser. I think the market could probably bear those prices, but I just think it's outrageous. I would never pay that much for a tumbler myself. So what I've done is anytime that you buy a product that you are enhancing, decorating, you usually take the price of that blank garment or blank product and mark up the product itself, as well as add your labor to it, the design, everything else. What I decided to do to keep my prices low is if I buy this tumbler for $45, I'm not marking this up. A lot of places will mark it up anywhere from 25 to 55% and then put the labor and the design and everything else on top of it. I am giving you the tumbler for the price that I paid for it, and then I will add my labor and everything else to it. So in my mind, that keeps it down, makes it affordable for people to purchase. So whereas most people are charging like $110, even $120. I had a customer 2 days ago come over, and she told me that she saw someone at a market selling these for over $300, which about blew my mind. I don't think she sold a single one, but to each their own. So I sell these full wrap tumblers generally for around $85. That's for a 40 ounce. What I wanted to bring up is that we can keep the cost down on them by doing a knockoff or a dupe version, and that will save quite a bit of money. So these look identical. Literally the only difference is the Stanley branding on it. This is an Amazon dupe. Let me show you. Like literally they look identical until you see that Stanley. And if you're doing a full wrap, that takes the focal point or the focus off of that emblem anyways and puts it onto the design. So this you can get on Amazon for about $12. This is about $45. So if cost is your concern, go with the dupe because it literally looks identical. It almost feels the same. This is maybe a little bit lighter, but not much, but everything else is identical. So save the money, go with the dupe. I get a lot of questions about doing bulk orders or even single orders. And one thing I want to educate you on is that every tumbler brand, every tumbler color has a different laser setting. I have to tell my laser what power setting and what speed setting to use. When you use a diode laser, you are not even engraving on the metal. These are all powder coated with paint color, and depending on, I'm gonna go back to my hygiene days. So I was a dental hygienist for 12 years, and oddly enough, I use a diode laser on my patients to control inflammation and bacteria in the gums. So I know from that these diode lasers are attracted to different colors, to moisture content. There's a lot of variables in it. So depending, Tilly, who wants a dog? Who wants 2 dogs? Okay, my apologies. So depending on the color of the tumbler, how thick the paint is powder coated on, that is going to affect the settings that I put into my laser. So if someone brings me a cup without a handle, it is literally a shot in the dark on what settings that I need to use. I have a pretty good running list of settings that I have used over the course of time. Let me actually show you that. So whenever I do a tumbler, I notate the brand, the settings that I use so that I can reference this and I can know exactly what setting I need to use for that particular product. If I've never done this color or this brand before, I have nowhere on this cup to do a test array or even a little spot test on to make sure that it's the intensity and the power and the speed that we need to do. If I have a handle tumbler, I should have taken a handle off one of these. Whenever I put a handle tumbler into the laser machine, I have to take the handle off. So a lot of, I don't have one here, a lot of Yetis with handles, the handle does not come off. So I can put it into my laser, but you can't do a full wrap on a tumbler that has a non-removable handle. If it has a handle, I can take this handle off, and right underneath it here, between where it attaches to the tumbler and the outside of the handle, I can do a little test spot. I typically do 3 test spots, so like 1, 2, 3, with a varying amount of settings to see where I need to be, and then I save this 4th corner to dial it in just a little bit more. So this gives me 4 opportunities to test this paint color before I put your design on. So if I'm using this and I've never done this before, this color or this brand, then it is a little bit of a shot in the dark, and I can generally get it pretty close, but just know that if I've not done that color before, that it might not come out exactly perfect. And I always tell my customers that 9 times out of 10, they're okay with it because I can get it acceptable. But if you really look at it, like this was one of the first ones I ever did. And I don't know if you can even see, but it doesn't have that like shiny chrome effect. It's a little bit burned. So my settings on this were a tad too intense. One thing that you can do, but it's going to waste an entire tumbler, is a full-on test array. So this is something that the laser software offers, where it gives you the speed vertically here, and then the power horizontally, and you use it as a grid, a test grid, to see exactly what finish you want it to be. So in a perfect world, you would have a test array on every single brand and color, but that's not practical. So I prefer to do it under the handle of the tumbler and try to dial it in that way. What else? So I do have 2 that I'm working on today. One is going to be a partial wrap, one's going to be a full wrap. The setup, the pricing, all that is different for each one. And I will go over that next. I'm back. I'm at my computer with my laser software pulled up, and these are the 2 tumblers that I am going to be engraving on this morning. So we have a pink hydro jug that's going to be a partial wrap. This is going to my friend Sarah's stepmom as a gift, and I do have permission from Sarah to post this. So if you are her stepmom, please swipe left. And then we have a full wrap tumbler going, or full wrap going on this hydrangea colored Stanley. And this is going to be a graduation gift for my niece who is graduating high school and going on to cosmetology school. So if you are watching this, Reese, you can swipe left as well. And happy graduation. This is where I get into my pricing dilemma, because I charge 2 rates when I put a quote out. One is my machine time and one is my personal time. So for my machine time, that's my embroidery machine, my heat press, the laser. Anytime a machine is doing the work for me, it is a very minimal rate that I charge, but it is something that I consider because it's time that order is taking. And it also, when you charge for, or when you price a product, you have to, the customer is theoretically helping to pay for that piece of equipment that you have to buy and inevitably replace once the life of that equipment is over. So that's where the machine time comes in, and it's very minimal, but the machine time, so the laser time that this is in a laser, the full wrap, is significantly longer than the partial wrap. This might take, I don't know, 8 minutes. This one is liable to take up to 2 hours. So the machine time on this is significantly more than the partial wrap. But the kicker, and where my pricing dilemma comes in, is that this one requires a lot more personal time than the full wrap. So the personal time is what I aim to make as an hourly rate, and it's any time given to an order or a product that requires my time and attention outside of it being on a machine. So whether that's communicating with customers, prepping the order, prepping the product, cleaning up the product, shipping it, all those things are built into my hourly rate. And I won't divulge that, but just for conversation purposes, let's call it $25. So if it takes me an hour to work on your design, to prep it, to measure it out, figure out placement, if it takes an hour, that's already $25 that I should be charging on top of everything else, just for my labor rate. I should be charging that $25. Well, this design itself, aside from the cost of the tumbler, is only $20. So if I'm sitting here mocking up your logo and designing your logo, I'm essentially losing money on this product. So here, I don't know, a month or so ago, I started implementing a setup fee, a design setup fee. If you don't have a design ready to go, ready to engrave, then I might charge a design setup fee, only because otherwise I'm literally losing money. If I have to sit at the computer and put it into ChatGPT for literally sometimes 2 hours to get at what we want, I have lost money on that order. I have a good friend of mine, hi Alex, who put it one time so eloquently, so perfectly, and I think about it all the time. She said that ChatGPT is like arguing with a robot, and it's spot on. And so I'm not really here to argue with a robot. You can do that on your own time, to be quite frank. So unless you want to incur a design setup fee, I highly recommend that you get the logo exactly how you want it before you send it to me. With this particular one, it was super easy. I knew it was going to be like 1 or 2 prompts into ChatGPT, and then I could put it on here. So this one did not have a setup fee, but to save you money, I highly recommend that you have a logo ready to go unless you want to incur that setup fee. So switching over now to the computer, let me see if I can get a good view of this. Okay. And on that note on pricing for the partial wrap versus the full wrap, when I get your logo, I do it on ChatGPT. How anyone was ever in this industry before ChatGPT, I commend you for surviving it, because it is an incredible resource, and I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do without it. So once I get exactly what I want from ChatGPT, I have to put it into Canva, remove the background, save it in a specific file format, etc. This particular version of Canva is a paid subscription version to allow me to do the things that I need to do. I then save it, and I have to upload it to Vectorwitch, which then makes it a little more crisp. I tell it kind of what outcome I want it to be in. I can save it as an SVG, and then I pull it into my laser engraving software. Again, this is a paid subscription. So when I'm doing a partial wrap, those are all things that I have to consider, is the overhead and subscription costs that go into that pricing. Whereas with a full wrap, I don't design full wraps because it would take hours upon hours, and I don't want to pass that on to my customers when I can just download it. So I literally find what I want, I download it, I put it into my software, and we're done. So again, pricing dilemma is, yes, the partial wrap tumblers are cheaper for the customer, but when it comes down to overhead expenses and my personal time, they actually take longer. So that is to be determined how I'm going to handle that going forward. So here are the 2 designs. I have my full wrap for my niece. So really pretty floral, like cosmetology, hair themed wrap. And then for the partial wrap, we are doing a really cute, really simple line art of the outline of the dog's ears. So again, this will take significantly less time in the laser than this is going to take, but the planning and the prep of this one is significantly longer. So that's all the more I'm going to say on pricing. I think I'd be a dead horse, and really it's more for me to chew on and figure out how I want to address that. But I do have both of my designs here ready to go. So as I mentioned, I have to divide this one into fourths so that I know exactly where the middle of this plane is going to be. To do that, I use I think this is called a caliper. It's my husband's. He loaned it to me many months ago, and he's funny because I think he's had this for like over 20 years with his racing, and he was so proud of the fact that it has the original battery in it, and I had very strict instructions to never leave it turned on because he doesn't want to have to replace the battery. So he would say he's very cost conscious, and I say that he's a cheap ass because it's a battery, but tomato, tomato. At any rate, I use this to measure the diameter of the cup because my laser needs to know exactly how big the item is that I'm putting in the laser so that it can kind of know where to put the laser. So I take a measurement on this, I divide it into fourths, I mark it on the cup, I lay out where exactly I want the design to go. I then remove the handle, so even though this is not a full wrap, when the laser is in here, it starts off to the side and will hit this handle. So I have to remove this handle and I have to remove this handle. Now on this one, once again, sorry for my dogs. On this one, I do not have to really mark anything because I already know that the edge of this wrap is going to go straight down this seam. This design is nice because the person who designed it, and not all of them are like this, has already like templated the Stanley logo. So if I line this up in my machine, this Stanley logo with that Stanley logo, I already know that everything is perfectly aligned. And I'll show you in a moment because when I put this in the laser, it will cast a camera on it and I can see that on my screen here. The other thing is, even though this is pre-made and downloaded, it is still editable. I think that's a word. I'm not really sure. But the original version had this little blurb in there, hairstylists give the best blowjobs. Not really appropriate for the gift that I am giving. So I was able to delete this out, rearrange a couple of things, add her name in, and make it personal to her. So I'm going to get the handles off of these and I will now show you exactly how I line these up and put it into the laser. All right, at the laser, I have already taken off the handle. I have bent the prongs down on this because you don't want the rotary attachment or the laser head to collide with these prongs. You have to be very careful in doing these. They are just welded on. And if you are too forceful with it, they pop off. The whole tumbler is ruined. Ask me how I know. So once these are down, handle is off, it's ready to go into the laser. I have fortunately done this Brewmate color, and so I already have the settings on this, so I do not have to do the little test boxes. I know the settings. I put it in here, line it up on the software, and hit start, and it is ready to go. All right, I have the tumbler in the laser. I have my center line going down the center of the laser, I guess you could say, and I have my design placed on here. For this particular design, I have it 3.5 inches wide. The system, the software knows from the diameter that I put in, along with the width of the design that's going on it. If I hit 3D preview, it will actually show me what that is going to look like looking straight onto the tumbler. So I think that's a great feature to have so that you actually know visually how it is going to appear. For instance, if I made this much larger, a 5-inch, center it on here, and I preview it, that is going to be much too wide for the diameter of this particular tumbler. So again, that's another consideration that has to be made when doing these partial wraps. I'm going to go back to a 3.5, center it with the marks that I had drawn on. Like I said, I've already done this color and this brand, so I know that my setting is going to be 85% power, 375 speed, and my line density is 115. Those are all things that if I have a tumbler that I've never engraved on before, it's a guess and check, and you hope that you get it somewhat close, but it doesn't always work out that way. I've got everything set to go. I will start it here. It's going to take 3 minutes and 26 seconds, so super quick, super easy. I will send it, and then we'll go over to the laser and watch it actually engrave. Tumbler is in the laser. It's attached to the rotary there. I've started it on the computer, so I just have to make sure everything is lined up how I want it, and then hit start on the machine. Do that. And it will work its magic. This is going to go for about 4 minutes. When it is done, it will have a lot of soot around it that needs to be cleaned off. I won't show that. It's boring. It just uses a special solution, a magic eraser to get it nice and cleaned up and polished, but I will be back with the finished product. All right, tumbler number 1 is done. It turned out so cute. Settings were spot on. That nice polished chrome look. Super cute, super subtle, little line art detail if you love your pups. My dogs are shitheads. I would never put them on a tumbler. They don't deserve that. But if you love your pups and they are well behaved, this would be a great little tribute to them. So super cute. On to the full wrap. I have taken the handle off, bent down the little prongs, and I've already done my test spots on here to see what setting I want to use. I know it all looks the same on the camera, but this one up here is definitely the shiniest, looks the best, so I'm going to put that setting onto the full wrap here. So I will go back to the computer, show you all of that. If I'm going to continue these videos, I really need to get a camera person to follow me around because this is a lot of back and forth. Maybe I can get my husband or my children, probably not, but it's worth a try. So I now know what settings I will use for the hydrangea color on a Stanley. I have recorded that in my settings log so that I know for next time. Now I will get everything situated and aligned in the software. So let me bring that over here. Hopefully you can see if you care to see. Okay, I'm going to take or delete off these little setting boxes. Bring back my design. Zoom in for you. And I literally just have to take this line, the edge of the design, line it up with the middle of those prongs. As long as I have my perimeter and my diameter set where it needs to be, then I can do my 3D preview and see how everything is going to appear, how it will merge each side of the design, how it will tie in. You want it to look seamless. It doesn't always come out seamless, but the handle goes right here. So if it's a little bit off, it's not the end of the world, but everything looks great. So we will start on this one. The full wrap has been in the machine now for about an hour. I think it's close to a 2-hour engraving time. So the nice thing about this is that while it is doing the work for me, I can do other things. So I am going to head out for a moment. I need to pick up some DTF prints from my kids' school. Someone at the school was kind enough to grab my prints for me the other night as they grabbed theirs. And then I actually have to go back to Pineapple Transfers to get a new order that was completed today. So when I return, this should be done. I will clean it up and show you the final product. All right, I'm back from getting my transfers and the engraving is done. So I'm going to pull it off of the rotary. I'll show you how dirty it looks. Hopefully you can see. So we got to clean all that soot off and then it will shine up nice and polished. Okay, I'm back for the very last time and then this needs to get wrapped up. I have other orders to do. So this is the final product of the full wrap and it turned out so cute. Again, perfect settings. I love the design. If you need a wrap similar to this, let me know because this file has now already been purchased and downloaded, so you will not incur the cost of having to obtain this file. So just to kind of tie everything back together, I know this video originally started as a behind the scenes, just fun, whatever, and then it took a turn into a pricing discussion and more of a how-to video, but I just struggle with the pricing. If you come upon this video and you own a laser or you do Tumbler engraving, I would love to know how you price things because I know there's so many people out there who look at what the shop down the street is doing and they slap a similar price on their products. not having a clue what needs to go into that pricing. That is a big thing in the embroidery world, and it makes me so frustrated because there's this pricing method that many embroiderers will use, and it is where you charge $1 per 1,000 stitches. So say that there is a design that you are stitching that is 50,000 stitches, they will automatically charge $50. And what is so maddening about that is that if you put that same design on a Gildan 1800 crew neck that costs $7 versus putting that same design on a Carhartt jacket for $115, how are you still charging $50 for the stitching? Because if that Carhartt gets ruined, like, yeah, in that price, you would obviously put in the cost of the garment, but to replace the Carhartt is going to be much more expensive than replacing the Gildan. So to put this blanket pricing on your products does not work. It's lazy. And so you need to know your business, need to know your numbers so that you can price appropriately. So that is why I struggle so much, is because I want to make sure that I am pricing appropriately. So if you have any suggestions on a better way to do it, let me know. My father he's retired, an entrepreneur, and he has been my financial advisor from day one. I could ask him, but when I go to him with questions, it ends up not being a simple answer. It is a lecture. It is more information than I ever asked for, which I'm grateful for at times, but usually I just want the quick answer. So if you have the quick answer, please let me know. So just to kind of wrap this all up, a full wrap on a $45 Stanley will be around $85. If we put it on a knockoff for about $12, the full price is going to be about $35. You are saving $45, $50 just by the cut that you put it on. For the partial wrap, this is about $20 plus the cost of the cup, which is $45, total of $65, versus put it on a dupe and you'd be paying $32, $35. So I know brand is big for a lot of people. If it's not, don't be afraid to go with the cheap route. So I think that's it. I've got all my DTFs now that I need to do. If you have any questions, let me know.